Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadidamastu Mavit Vishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti. We'll chant chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, verses 61 to 65.
तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिर्भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते.
We are studying the Sthita Prajna portion in the second chapter of the Gita. Sthita Prajna means an enlightened person. Arjuna asked a question to describe Sthita Prajna. How does the Sthita Prajna express? How does the Sthita Prajna meet the world? What happens to Sthita Prajna when he meets the world internally and externally? Then he talked about the impacts. How does he impact the world? How does he get impacted? The inner state of the self-realized soul. All that was asked, and Sri Krishna answered everything. He said, Sthita Prajna is one who is above desires, is risen above desires as a result of realizing the self, understanding the paripurnatvam, understanding that everyone is essentially divine. He has realized the self. As a result, he doesn't have any desires. He is risen above desires. Though he is risen above desires, he will be purely functioning for the welfare of the world with no desire prompting him to function that way also. So he will be dynamically functioning without getting impacted by the world. He has emotions but doesn't get emotional. All that he discussed. And he moves about with awareness. He goes about contacting the world with awareness, like a tortoise. You know, the tortoise is moving about, but when it senses any danger, quickly the legs and everything, the limbs are brought within under the hard shell. Similarly, he moves about with his intellect, which is pointing towards the self with that kind of a higher awareness, and any danger he quickly withdraws. In the case of a realized master, it is spontaneous, it is swabhava. In the case of a sadhak, it is not yet swabhava. A sadhak may have got the knowledge, information. He has got knowledge, but he is not established in knowledge. You understand? One is having jnanam, other is becoming jnana nishta. Jnana nishta means one who is established in the knowledge. So it is not yet swabhava for the sadhak. So the sadhak has to practice sense control. So he discussed all that. He said, You may withdraw your senses from the world, but the rasa is within you. So you have to rise above the rasa. But see, the whole idea is you are that divinity. You are that pure consciousness. What I was telling is that everyone is essentially divine, infinite reality. Even when you think yourself to be limited, this limited individual, Lakshmi Narayan, Anjali, Krishna Kumar, Sarat Bhatia, etc., you are Atma. Even though you are covered by ignorance, your essential nature will continue to be Atma. You need to reveal the truth. It is discovering, it is not attaining. So now, if your senses are not controlled, and through the senses the world will enter, and your mind is disturbed, then the revelation will not happen. So for the revelation has to happen, for the revelation to happen, you need to keep your senses under control, mind under control, in the controlled and calm, serene, balanced mind, the truth reveals itself. So you can have information, but if your mind is not controlled, if your senses are not controlled, still the truth will not be revealed. You will still not be a jnana nishta. So therefore, it is extremely important, as we gain the knowledge, we also follow the sadhana, especially sense control. So he said, Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi asya indriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. These are the 61st shloka that we saw last in the previous week. So therefore, having controlled them all means all the senses. He should sit focused on me as supreme. He should control the senses and the mind and sit focused on me as supreme, which I explained to you. This is, in Sanskrit he calls it as mat paraha, considering me as supreme. Meaning, when you first come to Vedanta class, what you are taught is the 4 goals of human pursuit: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. You need to gain the dharma, values, understand, and then live your life fulfilling your desires dharmically, gaining the material wealth and fulfilling your desires dharmically. So dharma, artha, kama, first 3 goals. And then realize that they are all impermanent and the ultimate goal is moksha. Come to moksha. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the 4 goals. Now, if you want to get established in knowledge, you should have risen above dharma, artha and kama. And now for you, moksha alone should be pradhanam. That's what it means. Mat paraha, me as supreme. We discussed the example of supermarket. You go with a big list to a supermarket. Lot of things you want to buy, but they tell you within 10 minutes we're going to close. So you quickly buy whatever you can and come to the counter to pay and get out. So what do? You only buy those things which are extremely essential. So, in other words, enlightenment should be pradhanam for you. Should be the main thing for you. Everything else should revolve around it. Keeping that as the primary goal, you control your senses and the mind. So sense control is not sense denial. You continue contacting the world with your senses. But if anything is not good for you, for your goal, you withdraw from it. You keep your senses and mind away from it. This is called sense control and mind control. So having controlled them all, he should sit focused on me as supreme. His wisdom is established indeed, whose senses are under control. See, if in a river, the water is dirty, it's fully covered with thick green mantle, you won't see the reflection of the sun in it, isn't it? Though the sunlight is falling on it. You have to remove the thick green mantle, cleanse the water. And also, the water should not be flowing with terrible speed, it should be still. Then the reflection is clear. The agitations of the mind also should not be there. Then only the truth will reveal itself. So the senses and mind has to be controlled. Then the jnana siddhi will happen. you will become jnana nishta. So he emphasizes sense control. And of course, he talked about mind control. But now he's going to talk about mind control a little more. Now he's going to talk about what will happen to you if your mind is not controlled. Then he will talk about how to get into that mind control. What is the prasad you will get? What will be the result of such a living? All that he will discuss in these shlokas. Next 62, 63, 64, 65 and all that. Now 62 and 63 shloka. These two are off-quoted shlokas. And it talks about the ladder of fall. How a human being fall. A human being falls when the intellect falls. When your discriminating capacity gets disturbed, you are destroyed for all practical purposes. So therefore, how does that happen? He explains that. The danger of not controlling your mind. Which means the mind is controlled by what? The intellect. So he's going to talk about all that. If your senses are not controlled, the senses will draw the mind away. If the mind is drawn away, along with it, the intellect is also drawn away. That intellect drawn away he'll tell later, but in between he will talk about the importance of strengthening the intellect and intellect controlling the mind. That he's going to talk about now. Let's chant shloka number 62 and 63 together.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिर्भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
Beautifully he says here, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. A man musing on objects develops attachment, sanga. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. When a man is constantly dwelling upon the objects mentally, when the dhyan, attention of the person is upon the object continuously, then that person develops attachment, he says. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. What happens? Sangasteshu upajayate. Sanga comes. Sanga means attachment. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. From attachment comes desire. Kamat krododbijayate. From kama, krodha comes. Krodha means anger. Krodha bhavati sammoha. Out of anger arises delusion. From anger comes delusion, he says. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. From delusion, what is the next thing that happens? He says, from delusion, confusion of memory comes. You lose your memory. From confusion of memory, smriti bhramshad buddhinashaha. When this loss of memory happens, buddhi will go for a toss. Buddhinashaha. Buddhi is lost. Buddhinashat pranashyati. Means what? When the buddhi is gone, the person completely perishes. Buddhinashat pranashyati. Total destruction. That's what he wants to say. So how does the whole fall starts? It starts with just a thought. Just a thought. Macbeth got a thought. His king was his benefactor, Duncan. But what did he do? He and his wife planned and murdered Duncan, inviting him for dinner, poisoned the food, killed him. And thereafter in the story you see Macbeth murdered sleep, meaning his peace of mind is gone. So the real destruction is, starting point is what? Starting point of real destruction is what? Thought. Just a thought. One fellow thought, I have to work. First I have to educate myself, then get a job, work and earn money, save the money. Now wherever you save, then you have to pay tax, inflation, this, that. उसके बाद जितना बचता है, we don't know. So why not I straight away print money? Just thought came. And he started printing money and he was caught and was put inside, put behind bars. Everything starts up with a thought. One thought. You understand? One thought. This is like bacteria, virus. It enters your system, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, it goes up. And then you can be like Mike Tyson, nothing, you will be finished. But it started off with just one thought. Just one thought. You understand? So therefore he says, he already said, he said, if the senses are not controlled, even if you are a wise person, the uncontrolled senses draws the mind away. Now, if you make sure that you give the right environment, you control your senses and sit down, already collected vasanas are there in us. We've already collected vasanas. We already have a lot of desires. And we have a past experience. Our mind goes to the past and starts becoming anxious of the future. Isn't it? So worries of the past and anxieties of the future happens when you're sitting down. And you go on, think about it, and then develop vasanas. You strengthen the vasanas. How does the vasana get formed? We discussed this. Unconscious, continuous, indiscriminate thought flow. Indiscriminate, unconscious, continuous thought flow becomes vasanas. That's how we produce vasanas. So therefore, when we constantly mentally linger upon an object, meaning world, any worldly objects, our mind starts developing attachment. This Adi Shankara calls it as preeti, a kind of interest. Very nice. You develop that interest upon that object. And once the interest goes on increasing, then what happens? Desire comes. What is desire? Desire is, now that you have the preeti, I must have it. I have so many things, but I love this, I like this, it should be there with me. I must have it. That's what they do in marketing, no? They go on showing the object and they attract you. Now, you don't think whether you need it, you don't need it. You will say, I want it. That's it. Without it, you feel like you've achieved nothing in life. So you start working, planning, and then on top of it, now they say, okay, we are giving you loan. You are, they pre-sanctioned the loan. How they get the numbers, I don't know, they'll call you. They'll say you have already been sanctioned. So 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs. And then you'll be already having desire. You'll go for it. And that's it. You're finished. So he says, a man musing on objects develops attachment for them. From attachment arises desire. Desire means, now I must possess it. I must achieve it. I must attain it. It's called desire. Now, once you have desire, anyone who interrupts the desire, any situation or a person interrupting the desire, what happens? Now see, what is happening is, your thoughts are running from you to the object. There's a thought flow continuously going. And somebody is interrupting now. No, you will not have it. Or a situation comes and it's not allowing you to get that object. Then what happens? The thought current is deflected now. isn't it? There's a thought current going from you to the object. It is now interrupted, and when it gets interrupted, the thought current is deflected. It gets deflected to that person or situation that is interrupting, and that deflected thought current is called anger. So it is impossible to get angry without desire. If you are getting angry, means you'll say, that person irritates me. He or she makes me angry. It is impossible that that person can make you angry. The sense, if you do not have desires, no one can make you angry. Not possible. So anger is nothing but deflected thought current. Desire interrupted. Please understand this. In Tamil, in Tirukural, Tiruvalluvar says, Sinam ennum சேர்ந்தாரை கொல்லி இனம் என்னும் ஏம புனையை சுடும். Sinam means anger. It destroys the person who has it. We think we finished the other fellow. When we get angry, what do you say? I nicely gave him. Yeah. I creamed him. You get a kick out of it. Khatam kar diya. That's what you say. Khatam kar diya. Your face also goes like this. Usko khatam kar diya. You actually finished yourself off. You finished yourself, not that person. That's what he says. Sinam ennum சேர்ந்தாரை கொல்லி. So when the anger comes, where is it coming from? Within you. You are having the weakness. So in fact, if you understand this, from today, if any fellow interrupts you and irritates you, you should have his photo in your puja room. Because he is telling you, he is pointing out, you have the weakness, man. If you did not have the weakness, how can he come and trouble you? Not possible. You have the desire. A person is doing something, interrupting the desire. You get angry. And then you say, he is doing this, she is doing it. Nobody is doing it. Your thought current is deflected. And once you get angry, what happens? How does the destruction go to a higher level now? He says, you will be in total delusion. When you are angry, you do not know what you do. They themselves say that. When I get angry, I don't know what I will do. You yourself say that. There are fellows out of anger, they resign the job. They tell the boss, you keep it, man. The boss is telling, Arey, boss knows you. You've got a lot of loan, you've got to pay for your children's education, etc., etc. But you keep that job. I don't need it. You get angry. He says, Arey, Baba, please think about it. I'll keep it. I will not forward it upwards. I'll keep it. If you have a change of mind, please come back. I'll give you 2 days' time. You are still angry. You don't call him or you don't go to him. He sends it to the boss and they say, okay, accept it. Your resignation letter is accepted. You're gone. They have already, started the procedure of appointing somebody else. Now you suddenly feel, hey, Baba, what did I do? I resigned my job. I have to pay my loans. I have to pay my fees for the children, all that. Then you suddenly realize and you go back, it will be too late. It will be too late. So when you are angry, you are in deep delusion. You do all things against yourself. Everything you do against yourself. Nobody can talk to you. You are not in a mood to listen to anybody. It's not possible. And you are getting kick out of it. It's like, sometimes when there is some wound or something, a itchy feeling comes. And however you try to not scratch, somehow you start scratching. And when you're scratching, it's giving you pleasure. You feel nice. And after that you feel, my God, what a mistake it was. You have made it worse. So this is what is happening. Desire is interrupted, anger comes. When you are angry, you go into deep delusion. Delusion, and from delusion what happens? Beautifully he says, moha, sammoha. Sammoha means, it's not just moha, it's a sammoha. PhD in delusion. Totally deluded. That fellow, he understands everything wrong as right. There's so many things. He thinks all the other fellows there are all fools, idiots. Only he is smart. Only he is the one who is custodian of righteousness, of values. That's how the person thinks. Total delusion. From anger arises delusion. From delusion arises what? Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti means memory. Smriti also means the learnings from the scripture. You learn from your guru. The scriptures are beautifully taught by the guru to you, and you've got certain understandings. After so much of study and reflection, you've got some knowledge stored in your memory. That is gone. You behave like a totally uncultured fellow. Because see, when we get educated, especially with the higher values from the scriptures, we become more cultured. Isn't it? We become more cultured. Now, when the anger takes over, all kinds of ridiculous behavior you will show there. People will wonder, this fellow, is he a guy who has got doctorate? Is this the way he'll behave? Smriti, he says, Smriti is robbed by anger and delusion. All that you studied and you kind of, your behavior, everything is completely looted away. So that's why he says, Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti is gone. Meaning your knowledge is robbed. Whatever little intelligence you had stored in your memory, it's all gone. Then smriti bhramshat buddhi nashaha. Buddhi means viveka. You will not have the capacity to clearly discriminate as to what is right, what is wrong, what is good for you, what seems to be pleasure you will think is good for you. All this will happen. Your capacity to discriminate is gone. And buddhi nashat pranashyati. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. Because of buddhi nasha, we do all wrong things. See, a human being alone is endowed with this intellect. Animals have only rudimentary intellect. They can discriminate between the edible food and what is not edible, male, female, basic discrimination they have. But they don't have the same kind of discriminating ability that a human being is bestowed with. And they don't need it also, because they are all functioning based on a programmed living. An animal, for example, a tiger will be a meat eater. It will kill and eat. A cow will be vegetarian. You understand? It won't go and eat meat. But foolishly, we mixed something in their fodder, and then when they went mad, we called it as mad cow disease. A cow is not mad, we are mad. You understand? They lead a beaten path. They don't need a choice of action. They just need basic discrimination. So therefore, they are given that. They lead a programmed life. There is no papa and punya for animals. Now, when it comes to human being, we have a choice. Every second of our life, we have the choice of action with us. And what we choose determines our destiny. Our destiny is what? Sigma choices. Every second we are making choice. You have chosen to come to the class. Having come to the class, you can choose to listen or not to listen. Having chosen to listen, there will be certain repercussions. Having chosen not to listen, there will be certain repercussions. So every choice that you make in life is very, very important. It's crucial. Our choices determine our destiny. We think somebody sitting up the clouds deciding our destiny. Nobody sitting up the clouds is deciding our destiny. Swami Ramtirtha says, if there is anybody sitting up the clouds poor fellow will catch cold disease. Will catch cold. Nobody is sitting and determining your destiny. You are the product of the past and producer of the future. With reference to the past, you are a product. But with reference to the future, you are a producer. In the present, what kind of actions you take, that will mix up with your past, and your future will be determined by that. So therefore, intellect is extremely important for a human being. Intellect should control the mind should control the senses, then the journey of life will be peaceful and prosperous. And it has to be till you die, continuously. Like when you're driving the car, you can't afford to doze off even for a second. For a second, if you doze off, that's enough. Therefore, buddhi is extremely, extremely important. But when buddhi is gone, we do all kinds of nonsense. We go with the mind, we increase the vasanas, we get mentally disturbed, we destroy our life here, and we gather more vasanas, and then all kinds of destruction continues. Therefore, he says, buddhi nashat pranashyati. Beautifully, he talks about the ladder of, isn't it? How do you fall? It all starts up with just one thought. That's why we say your thoughts determine your destiny. All of us are interested about what the other fellows are thinking about us. What is he thinking about me? What is she thinking about me? Is he thinking good about me? Is he thinking bad about me? This is all we are bothered. We are not bothered about what kind of thoughts we are entertaining. The thoughts we are entertaining is going to decide our destiny. But for that, we don't have time. We're worried. Do you think they're having good thoughts about us? Nazar lag jayega. No. They're more concerned about all this. Whereas Vedanta says, hey, listen, your mind control, your thoughts determine your destiny. They're very, very important, crucial. Are you aware of it? Are you taking stock of it? So he says, everything starts off with just one thought. One thought. One thought Ravana had was destroyed. One thought Duryodhana had was destroyed. One thought can make you also. You know, if you take up one thought is very often discussed in Gita. Very interesting. Ananya Shintayanto Mam Ejana Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. He says in 22nd shloka of chapter 9. He says Ananya Chinta, no other thought. Chinta means thought, Anya Chinta means other thought, Ananya Chinta means no other thought. With just one thought, if you hold on to Brahman, he says Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. We'll discuss that in detail when we get there. But one thought can make you, if you consciously pursue one thought, if you unconsciously pursue one thought, that also can mar you. One thought is enough. Nobody outside is coming and destroying us. Our own thought is destroying us. That's it. It goes through various modifications and they finish you. They rob your thinking capacity. That's gone. That's it. See, we are more careful about alcohol and all other things that may cloud our thinking. But what about anger? The very desire you have, which is not controlled by your buddhi, then it will become anger. So we've been constantly thinking about many things and we have put it inside. That's why it's extremely important. What kind of thoughts go into you? See, in an organization which is in a factory that is involved in manufacturing products, the raw material has to be first grade, isn't it? If the raw material is third grade, obviously the end products will also be third grade. So make sure that the raw material is good quality. So you have to actually take a sankalpa, that yes, I have practiced sense control. Meaning you made sure that your senses don't go into the unnecessary stuff, only the necessary things that is good for your goal only you keep in touch with. You're moving about in the world like the tortoise, which he explained. You're moving about in the world like the tortoise. You're not withdrawn completely. It's not sense denial, it's only sense control. Meaning, whatever is allowed for your goal, you contact. But in spite of it, so many bad things go into you. And if you start thinking about it, you have to be careful. So I remember when I was growing up in Chennai, I used to go by walk to my school. It's about half an hour distance. So by walk, I used to go there. And around 8:30, so those days there was only radio, no television, nothing. So every house they will be listening to this radio, Vivata Bharati. So as you are walking and going to your school, you will be listening to a lot of movie songs, whether you want or not. You understand? So a lot of songs goes in. Along with that, a lot of words go in. It goes into your subconscious. Not because you went and you switched on the radio and you were sitting and listening. In spite of it, it's still going in. Now, those kind of thoughts which has gone in, if you are sitting and ruminating over it again and again and again, he's talking about that. That becomes attachment. What we are doing today is in mobile phone, we are doing the same thing. On watching videos after videos, and depending upon what you are watching, they will feed you with more and more. And you are continuously going in, and that's it. You listen to certain videos, they stir your emotions, and you get excited, especially people listen to a lot of political things, and then they get excited, they are very angry. Whichever party they decide, they become very angry, and that they are not able to do anything against them. And their frustration they show it towards their wife, husband, children, neighbors, friends. You don't understand what is happening to you. That is what he's saying here. A man musing on objects. So you have to take sankalpa. Now I have listened to the lectures, read the books, I've reflected upon them. I understand that everyone is essentially divine. Right? Now I know that my essential nature is Atma. All that I know. But now I have to become what? Jnana Nishta. I have to get established in that knowledge. So therefore, I still need to follow sense control, and sense control alone is not enough. I need to follow mind control. When my mind is going, in the initial stage itself, I have to catch it. If I don't catch it in the initial stage, I'll be finished. This he explains in the 5th chapter. He uses the word called vega, velocity. Once the mind gathers velocity, you cannot hold it. It's difficult. Thereafter, it's beyond reasoning. It's impossible. If you don't nip it in the beginning, it's gone. Swamiji gives a nice, interesting example. He says if you're playing cricket on the terrace, you hit the ball through the staircase, and first it goes and bounces on the topmost step, and the next it will go and bounce on the 10th maybe. After that, maybe 50th. If you don't catch it in the first step, you can't thereafter catch it. So we have to take a sankalpa, a conclusive decision we have to come to say that, listen, okay, fine, in spite of my best efforts, many things has gone into me. It's all there, settled in us. The sediments are there. So now they will come. I should not get involved in them. Should just observe them. They'll go away. But by engaging myself in them, I develop it more and more. It becomes attachment. A boy goes to a party in the evening, and there he sees one girl. Yeah, she's very beautiful. This thought comes. Very beautiful she is. Now he goes on indulging in the thought. She's beautiful, she's beautiful. Her eyes are beautiful, her nose is beautiful. Like that he goes on indulging. Then what happens? he develops desire. I have to go and talk to her. I have to spend more time with her. He goes and talks to her, and then it continues. Desire develops. That's what happens. So that attachment is what? The object going and occupying your mental space. That's called attachment. When he comes home also, he goes to brush the teeth. On the mirror, instead of his image getting reflected, he's seeing her. Next day morning when he's sitting for breakfast, on the plate he's seeing her. What is that telling? She has gone and occupied his mental space. That's called attachment. So when in the beginning it's just a thought, and then a thin stream of thought going becomes attachment, and the thin stream of thought then further becomes thickened. The thickened stream of thought is called desire. One thought, one attachment, one desire is enough to finish us. And we have too many. The strength of a chain is its weakest link, they say in English. You can have the links, all the links are iron links. Only one link is plastic. The strength of the chain is determined by that one particular link. Everything is nice, only one weakness I have. Attachment to spouse, attachment to children, attachment to city, attachment to home, pata nahi what all attachments you have. Or attachment to Vedanta itself, maybe. See, the subtler the object, you don't see the attachment also. It's even more dangerous. You can get attached to the Vedanta itself, to the scriptures. That is even more dangerous. Because they give you subtle pleasure. You will continue in that attachment. It's more dangerous. In the Isavasya Upanishad, he talks about it. He says, some people are involved in the world. It is like glue, he says. And some people who are involved in the scriptures, spirituality, they are like super glue. That attachment is like super glue. So, the subtler joy is even more difficult for you to get out. So that's why again Thiruvalluvar in Tamil Tirukkural he says, Patruga Patratran Patre, Appatrai Patruga Patru Vidarku. Beautifully he says, you get attached to the divinity, and he calls the divinity as one who has no attachments. Patruga Patratran Patre means become attached to the divinity which has no attachments. And that attachment also you have to hold on for what purpose? To become completely detached. Appatrai Patruga Patru Vidarku. So you get attached to the higher, you get rid of the lower. But that higher attachment also finally has to be given up. But this is what he's beautifully explaining. You, by constant, unintelligent, indiscriminate thinking, develop attachment. And then it becomes desire. Once it's become desire, that's it. Then comes all the other things that he said. See, there are certain things he's not mentioned here, but elsewhere he mentions. If the desire is fulfilled, what happens? If nobody interrupted, then what happens? You develop greed. You want more and more and more. And you have fear. Fear of losing what you have achieved. Fear of losing what you have achieved. You achieve a certain status. For many years you work for it and you achieve a certain status. Now that you achieve that status, the bigger problem is now you have to maintain that status. The retaining status quo is even more difficult. And you spend your whole life in that. That's what is, that's what happens. Fear, will I be able to maintain that status? What will happen? So, fear comes when the desire is fulfilled. Afraid of losing what you have achieved. And craving for more of the same, greed. And you compare yourself with those who have less than you. Then you develop arrogance. Isn't it? Mother. And those who have less than you, mother. Those who have more than you, jealousy. Matsarya. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya. We develop all the modifications come. And when all modifications come, what do? He only gives one example of anger here. When the desire is interrupted, when the desire is fulfilled, the same thing happens. Whether anger or fear or greed, same thing happens. You completely get deluded. You're completely deluded. Sometimes you get scared. You watch one horror movie, and then especially you get interested to watch them in your TV only at night. Especially go and watch it at night, and then you're not able to sleep. In the middle of the night, when you open your eyes through the window, you see one palm tree there, and there's heavy wind, so the palm tree's head is shaking. So you think one big ghost is shaking, and fear comes. Even in an AC room, you start sweating. You can't think. So delusion comes. When delusion comes, what does the delusion do? Whatever effort you had put in and studied and gained the knowledge from the scriptures, it's gone. Smriti Brahmsha, he says. Sorry. Sammohat Smriti Brahmsha. Smriti is gone. Smriti. See, Shruti, Smriti. Shruti is revealed knowledge. Smriti is remembered knowledge. Vedas are called Shruti. You understand? So, whatever you studied from the Vedas, from the Guru, through the scriptures, and you understood, those understandings are all stacked up, stored in your memory only. Isn't it? And that you lose. And you start having confusions in that, and you start losing that memory. Meaning the knowledge slips away from you. And your protection is there only as long as the knowledge is there. Isn't it? When that protection is gone, you're finished. Once the discriminating ability is gone, you're finished. That's why they say don't contact alcohol, don't contact drugs, all these things. What do? They take away your discriminating ability, your thinking ability. Especially if you drink and drive, your reflex is gone. So, you will not be able to judge properly. You will think the distance between your car and the other car in front is quite a lot, but while it may not be. So, you make mistakes. You put yourself in danger, you put everybody else in danger. Because your thinking, discriminating ability is taken away. We are doing all kinds of things to take away our discriminating ability throughout the day. That's what he's saying. You are a proper human being because you have that buddhi, ability to think. What is good for you? What is pleasing but not good for you? You should have that clarity. So he says, from confusion of memory, what will happen? Buddhi gets destroyed. Loss of intellect. Laws of intellect. You choose all the fellows who are detrimental to you as your friends. All those who are good for you, you will consider them as your enemies. Elsewhere in the Gita, nice discussion about sattvic intellect, rajasic intellect, tamasic intellect comes. And there when he talks about tamasic intellect, he says this. Tamasic intellect is a perverted intellect. Means everything that is good for you, you will think is bad. Everything that is bad for you, you will think is good. In the world today, people go about thinking that attachment is good. They understand attachment as love and love as attachment. Love is selfish. If you have true love, people don't understand true love. So they think that fellow is selfish. Because if a father has true love to the son or daughter, he won't be pampering the child. So he'll be a little strict and disciplined. Of course, he has true love. Whatever has to be done, he'll do. But he'll be careful, right? You think, what kind of fellow is this fellow? There is another fellow who is pampering. Oh, how much he takes care of his children. He's actually making that fellow weak. Because he doesn't allow that fellow to do anything. Everything is given on a platter, and that fellow becomes weak. But people think, oh, how much he loves. How much she loves. That is not love, that is attachment. What has happened? Discrimination is gone. That's why Swamiji wrote one book. Full book is dedicated for this. Fall of the Human Intellect. The very title of the book is Fall of the Human Intellect. And in the book itself he says, to know that your intellect is gone, you need little intellect. See, a madman doesn't know that he is mad. Isn't it? To the extent we are mad, we don't know that we are mad. We think everything is fine with me. A madman doesn't know that he is mad. So to the extent we are mad, we don't know that we are mad. When a person gets angry, children are telling, Papa, don't get angry. Your BP is shooting up. It's not good for you. Doctor ne bola na. Who is getting angry? You are getting angry. I am not getting angry. He is not even aware. It's gone. So this is the problem. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. How did it all start? One thought. You don't need too many things to finish off a person or a nation or a family. Just one thought is enough. Remember this. You are made or marred by your thinking. Nobody else. The cause of your destruction or upliftment also. They all can help you from outside, but it's finally you. So that's why sense control, mind control, both are important. So even though you've got the knowledge, even though you've got the information, till you get established, you got to continue sadhana. After that, what happens? Can you drop the sadhana? You won't, because the sadhana, what you did with effort, has now become your swabhava, natural quality of yours. As a student, you may put in efforts to be more compassionate. But once you get established in that Buddhahood, it will become your natural quality. Compassion was a natural quality of Buddha. You understand? So therefore he says, you must understand this fall, how it happens. It all starts with just one thought. Okay, एक ही thought है ना, क्या है, फर्क पड़ता है? Allow करो यार. Everybody says, only one, no, leave it. It's okay. It's like saying, only one bacteria, allow karo. And that is it. One will go, and then it will multiply, and it will knock you, finish you. Completely finish you. One day only, big deal, we say. That's how we talk now in the world. Saying that one is enough, he says. Everything starts off by constant, unintelligent indulgence on the object mentally. So therefore, when you see that the mind is going on something, you have to quickly direct it towards the higher. So this particular two shlokas are very, very important off-quoted shlokas. Even without putting in so much effort, you can memorize this. The words are very interesting. You just have to remember them. Dhyayato vishayan putsa. Vishaya means object. Dhyayato means your thoughts, dwelling upon it, musing. Dhyanam. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha, a man. Sangasteshu pajayate. Sangha comes. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. From Sangha, Kama, desire comes. Kamat krodho bijayate. Krodha comes. Krodha bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibramaha. Smriti is gone. Smriti bramshat buddhi nashaha. Intellect gone. Viveka gone. Discriminating capacity is gone. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. Buddhi is gone. Everything is gone. You may have a six-pack body, all awards in your room, but buddhi gone, finished. You will be taken to mental asylum. That's it. So therefore he says, you have to take sankalpa, even though you have sense control, You have to take sankalpa to have mind control. Now in 64, 65, we'll talk about when your mind is controlled, what is the benefit, how it will help you. All that we'll see next week. Let's conclude now. Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.